Welcome everyone to the video. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Banana Broccoli Shake. That's the new name for the new channel. Um, if you know where I got that from, let me know in the comments down below. But I'm not a stranger to social media, but this is the first kind of sit down, serious talk, social media thing I've done. So a little bit nervous, but you know, I'll get through it. Uh, this is the reason why I'm creating this is because I wanted to be able to talk honestly about religion, faith, and how it fits into the real world based on what's happening in the real world right now. No preaching. That may sound like preaching, but I'm not trying to convert anyone, at least not to how I believe, just my own thoughts, based on my experiences. And the first episode, I really just want to do just more of an intro as to who I am, where I come from, and really why I wanted to start this in the first place. But I grew up Christian, Southern Baptist, and church it wasn't just a thing on Sunday. It was actually two times on Sunday. It was Sunday in the morning and then Sunday in the evening. We would go typically in the mornings, probably about yeah, I think it was 8:30 is when it started, or 9 o'clock, and the evening started at 5. Um, but it was a part of my life. It shaped as especially when I was little, 'cause I as far as from birth, as far as I know, I was at church. It shaped the way I saw the world, how I thought about right and wrong, and really how I treated other people. Uh, it was a Wednesday nights. I remember Wednesday nights always going. Wednesday nights were always kind of a fun, more of a fun time. Friday night Bible studies. There were even Saturday events as well too that would occur fairly often. Most of the friends that I had, or that I at least I hung out with, were from church. Many of my families, my parents' social circles, they were all built around people from the church. The church I went to even had its own school, and a lot of the kids from church, or at least, Sunday, have to see them Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, sometimes Saturdays. They also went. They went not only to church services when they occurred, but also to the school as well too. Um, I'm I'm glad I did not attend that school. I went to public school. I think my parents, we did at one point, my parents were looking to put us into that school, but it just never happened. We ended up staying in public school, but that will be a topic for another video down the line. Uh, but a lot of my values, everything still to this day come from that background. And I don't regret it. And it's a part of who I am. And it's the reason why I'm here today. Um, right around, probably my teenage years is really when I started to, when things started to shift. I've been to question, my beliefs, or more of why I believed the way I did. I wasn't necessarily being rebellious, or it wasn't something that just happened quickly or overnight. It wasn't a sudden just I woke up and I was transformed into somebody else, but it was a gradual change. And it started with just more questions, just asking questions about the doctrine, um, about certain contradictions, about teachings that applied to the world, the real world out there. And the answer I got the vast majority of time were it's in the Bible. Read the Bible. You'll find all your answers in the Bible. Maybe you should read the Bible. Look here in the Bible. Those were the answers I got often. And I did read the Bible. I've read the Bible. I've read the Bible front to back many times, different versions of the Bible, the King James, the international version, um, and front to back, many occasions, sometimes just the New Testament. Um, but, I just found myself questioning, more and more. And, that's really, really when I realized that my faith journey wasn't going to be very straightforward. And at that point in my life, or actually at this point in my life, I really don't necessarily where I'm at now. I don't really call myself a Christian, a practicing Christian. At least not tradition like how you would traditionally think. I don't go to church. Um, I still occasionally go to church, but I don't. It's nothing like every Sunday. Not like when I was a child. Um, the way I think about faith and God is just very, very different from how I was raised. And again, something I will get into future videos as well too. Uh, but my belief in God is because I still do believe in God, and it's a very personal experience. Um, it's something that's real to me, something that changed really, really how I see the world. But it's also something I can't prove. I can't prove it to anybody. I can't hand you any evidence. I can't do any experimentation and show you the truth. It's it's just something that I know is true. Um, and that realization really, really led me to something very, very important that most religions out there cannot be proven with 100% certainty. You can look at the history, you can study the philosophy, you can listen to everyone's personal experiences, their testimonies. We would have testimonials, there was a certain time set aside every Sunday for testimonies, for people's personal testimonies. Um, you can examine all the arguments that are for and or against God, but eventually, no matter how far you go, you're going to reach a point where the evidence stops and then faith begins, which is why we have to have faith. You have to have faith. We hear that all the time: faith, faith, faith. And I definitely will get in more into faith in a future video. Uh, but maybe that's the whole point. Maybe faith was never meant to function like a scientific formula. It was never meant, uh, to be something that is proven with hard facts, with with science or math. Because if everything about religion could be proven beyond a doubt, if it could be measured, we can test it. It wouldn't be faith anymore. It would just be a fact. That's it. It would just be facts. That's what it would be. And faith, just seems to live in that space where certainty ends and then trust begins. I listen to many, many scientists, many, many thinkers, people that don't necessarily believe in God. And one idea that comes up often is that religion may have developed, at least in part, as a way for humans to cope with death. Um, and the idea is that if you believe in something beyond this life, something after we die, and give you a sense of calm, a sense of meaning, a framework for understanding loss, a way to deal with the reality that one day, we're all going to face the unknown. And, honestly, I think there's definitely some truth to that. We as humans, we don't handle uncertainty very well. Some of us are really, have a very structured, planned life, and uncertainty can really derail that. We always look for patterns, we look for purpose, we're always looking for reassurance. But even even if religion does provide the comfort in the face of death, you know, I don't see that as a weakness. I don't think that automatically makes it false. And I don't think it makes, religion just a bad thing. And you may hear me talk about, you may hear some of my, in future videos, and maybe it may come across as bashing religion, but it's really just trying to help people help people uh, think beyond it. In fact, I think that's part of why religion is important for some people. It gives people structure, in especially in chaotic times like we are in right now. It creates community. I definitely felt that, as even as a child. It teaches values. It gives people, something bigger than themselves to anchor to when life gets out of control, and life gets out of control for everybody. Um, and for many people, faith isn't just about what happens after you die. It's about how you live right now. It can encourage compassion. It can help you be more disciplined, forgiveness, help you be more forgiving person, to make you more generous. It can give you strength. It can give you strength, especially during times of grieving or going through, like I mentioned earlier, the hardships in life that life tends to throw at us quite often sometimes. Uh, and if something helps someone become more grounded, more hopeful, uh, that definitely has a value. You can be a Southern Baptist like I was, and up until, like I said, all the way through even my teenage years, I was still there. You could be Catholic, Christian Catholic, uh, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist. People all over the world follow different paths, and they're all searching for something that's just bigger than themselves. Uh, something I always, or the way I always like to think of it is like rivers, leading towards the ocean. There's all these different paths, all these different rivers just flowing different directions, zigzagging all the way down. Um, I mean, not different. They're always pointing towards the ocean though, but different, zigzags and paths, uh, all moving towards, the same deeper truth. And, that idea leads into, the main reason I want to start this channel, podcast, sit down and talking video. Um, Lately, it feels like the loudest voices are coming from the more conservative side of the spectrum. Maybe it's not necessarily the majority, but they're definitely a lot more organized and definitely more vocal right now in this time. Uh, it definitely it feels that way to me. And as far as yes, I can be conservative in some areas, and I can be liberal in other areas. I tend to be more down the middle, is just how I naturally tend to be. Uh, but a lot of those conservative movements are very much tied to Christianity. It doesn't mean that all Christians are necessarily conservative. It doesn't mean that all, conservatives are Christian, but there's definitely a connection between certain political agendas and certain religious beliefs, and that's where my questions start to come in. Because if most religions, including Christianity, ultimately require faith, and if faith is something personal that really can't be proven with total certainty, is it right to have those beliefs shape the way this country is run? Um, Not just in our personal lives, but in the policies and decisions and the direction we move in as a society. And again, not because Christianity is bad. I grew up that way. I value that part of my life. Um, and it still gives me, it shaped me. It gives, it's the reason why I am where I am. Um, and it could be like that for many, many people out there, but we can't prove it with 100% certainty. Uh, you can't prove that Christianity is that one true path for every single person on earth. And, it may be right for some, uh, and it may resonate deeply with their lives and experiences, but it just doesn't mean because it does for me that it's going to fit for the next person or that person beyond them. It may, five people down the line, it may work for them, but then, it might not work for, my neighbors. It might not work for, your neighbors. Uh, People are all different. Some people are, I use this example of the pegs, are fitting, the 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 square peg into the round opening. Not some people just aren't round pegs. Some people are square pegs. Some people have more corners that you can't even count. Trying to force everyone into the same belief system just doesn't make any sense. Uh, Especially when at the end of the day, every religion, or vast majority of religions require a leap of faith. So, how can we say with confidence that one person is right and another is completely wrong? Oh, man, one of the biggest issues, uh, something that's probably been going on, it's been going on for a long time, is the pressure people feel to fit into, whatever mold happens to be the dominant one at that time. Uh, right now, I definitely feel like uh, conservative Christian values, are the loudest. And but even before that, with other different, political or cultural ideas were more dominant, the same thing still happened. Society has always had this tendency to kind of push people towards this certain way of thinking, a certain way of living, a certain way of believing, because that's what the majority is doing at that time. And I don't think it's always intentional, though. I don't think it's always an intentional thing. I think a lot of it is subconscious, um, because it's what has been ingrained in us, that has been grown up. Uh, and we'll get more into that as well too in future videos. Uh, I know people, right now that are completely against Christianity, completely against Christianity. They don't go to church. They don't call themselves believers. But if you look at their values, and a lot of them had grown up in Christian environments and then left that. Those still ideas, those values that they still hold on to, they don't just disappear. They still stick with them, and they still, have value in them, whether or not they attribute them to Christianity or not. Uh, but that kind of pressure to fit into a mold, or to be forced into a mold, to believe the right thing, the right uh, way to live, can create definitely a lot of stress and internal conflict in the individual, who definitely feel different, who definitely feel like they are, they're being forced into a situation, or to be this person that they're ultimately not. Uh, so uh, one of the main things I want this, channel podcast to be about is also not to try to force your beliefs onto other people, not politically, socially, culturally, because what makes us different are different experiences and perspectives that that's incredibly valuable to our society. Um, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, so we're incredibly diverse. I've been to other parts of the country where it's not so diverse, and it's very, very shocking to me sometimes, when I do visit other parts of the country and I'm like, "Oh, I'm so used to being here. This is where I grew up." Uh, and so going to other parts of the country, it's like, it's kind of a shock to me. It's like, "Oh, it looks very different around here." Um, that diversity also of thought is what helps us grow and adapt and understand one another, better. Uh, I don't think there's one single right path that fits every person. And because of that, I don't believe that personal faith could be something that governs everyone else's choices. Faith, if it means anything, should be something you choose, something you discover, something that's personal, something that you're not forced, that's not forced onto you. Um, and, we're definitely going to be reflecting on that, questioning it, trying to understand it. I'll be sharing my own experiences, uh, my doubts, what I believe, and because I believe in God. Don't get me wrong. I believe in God. I just, uh, I'll try to help people make sense of and sort things out. And again, I'm not going to try to force my own beliefs or try to come across as I am right. Because again, it can't be proven with 100% certainty. Um, None of us have it all figured out. None of us have it all figured out. So if you don't have it figured out, don't feel bad. Do not feel bad. Um, I just want to thank you. If you've watched this video, thank you for watching it. I hope these few words, we'll get into more details in future videos, offers some comfort. And let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of my little intro video here. And, we'll definitely get into a lot more deeper discussions in the future. Yeah, I'm not really sure how many videos. I definitely shoot for at least one a week, maybe two a week. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff we can talk about. There's so much we can talk about. The list is probably endless. Definitely want to bring up things as they come up in the news as well too. Um, so we'll see. We'll see where this podcast goes. Something I've been wanting to do, and I'm glad I'm finally starting it. And let me know. Let me know what you think. And I hope this, gets pushed out to people. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.